Greetings, welcome. In this lecture, as part of safety in construction, we will study about the safety legislations, safety insurance and safety campaign in construction industry. I am Dr. G. Shankara, Professor and Head of the Department, RR Institute of Technology, Bangalore. The contents of this lecture are: importance of safety legislations, the Building and Other Construction Workers Act 1996, India, Indian Factories Act, Workmen Compensation Act, Safety Insurance, Contractors All-Time Insurance, other insurances in the construction industry, and safety campaign. So these topics we will learn in this lecture. Let us start with the importance of safety legislations. Occupational health and safety laws consist of central and state regulations imposed on businesses in an effort to keep employees healthy and safe from harm. These rules apply to nearly all private public sector employers. So these legislations are passed in various countries to provide a safe, healthy working environment to the workers in the industry, particularly construction industry. These standards are in place to reduce the risk of accidents and illness in the workplace, and government agents have authority to investigate violations and issue citations for non-compliance. Offenders are subjected to monetary fines and in some cases imprisonment and other criminal penalties. So these legislations force the various business or commercial construction organizations to implement the health and safety standards, procedures, rules in the workplace. Otherwise, the government agents can investigate violations and take action such as monetary fines and some cases imprisonment, other criminal penalties against the violators. Laws force companies, businesses to think about operational risks and come with processes and procedures to either eliminate those risks altogether or manage them down to the lowest reasonably practicable level. So the onus is on the organizations to reduce the risk. The laws help in that direction. The main objectives of OHS legislations are providing a statutory framework, including the enactment of a general enabling legislations on OHS in respect of all sectors of economic activities, and designing suitable control systems of compliance, enforcement and incentives for better compliance. So to enforce the rules and procedures on the organizations, and if they follow, give them incentives, and if they don't follow, put them into the as violators and impose penalties, etc. Providing administrative and technical support services to monitor the inspect the implementation. Providing a system of incentives to employers and employees so that they achieve higher healthy and safety standards. Establishing and developing research and development capabilities in emerging areas of risk and effective control measures. So these legislations promote the research and development activities also in the area of safety. Reducing the incidence of work-related injuries, fatalities and diseases. Reducing the cost of workplace injuries and diseases. So if the companies implement these standards, their long-term cost or expenditure in the health and injuries related expenditure will come down significantly. Increase in community awareness regarding areas related to OHS. There are so many legislations in every country. In India also, there are so many legislations in the last 100 years. We'll study here some significant or more important legislations. The Building and Other Construction Workers Act 1996 is passed in the 1996. It is related specifically to the building and construction workers' safety and health and employment service conditions. Before that, the Factories Act 1948, the Workmen's Compensation Act 1923 were followed even for the workers in the construction industry. So in 1996, a separate act, not only for building and other construction workers, separate acts were passed for various other types of workers, BD workers, plantation workers, transport workers, journalists, like that. So in those lines, Building and Other Construction Workers Act also passed. But even some organization still can follow the Factories Act and Workmen's Compensation Act if the nature of their work relates to those legislations. And there are many more laws are there. What is the Building and Other Construction Workers Act 1996? It is to address inhuman working conditions and poor health and safety standards in the real estate industry. The Government of India enacted the Building and Other Construction Workers Regulation of Employment and Conditions of Service Act 1996. Hereafter it is referred as BOCW Act. BOCW Act. So it is a social welfare legislation that aims to benefit workers engaged in building and construction activities across the country. The preamble of the act says, it is an act to regulate the employment and conditions of service of building and other construction workers and to provide for their safety, health and welfare measures and for other matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. So it deals with all the safety, health, welfare measures and related matters in the building and other construction workers. So who is a building worker? It is defined in the section 2E of the BOCW Act as a person who is employed to do any skilled, semi-skilled or unskilled, manual, supervisory, technical or clerical work for hire or reward, whether the terms of employment be expressed or implied in connection with any building or construction work. So it caters to all types of contractual, regular, skilled, unskilled, semi-skilled, supervisory, excluding the managerial cadre. All are covered under this act. It does not include any building or other construction work to which the provisions of Factories Act 1948 or the Mines Act 1952 apply. Some of the activities in the construction industry comes under the purview of Factories Act and Mines Act. So if it is those acts are applicable in that situation, this act does not apply. So anyone only you can take. The acts apply to an establishment having 10 or more than building workers. 10 or more than 10 building workers during the preceding 12 months at any time. Then so many sections are there. We'll see few sections here. Section 31 says a deaf person, a person who has a defective vision or a person who has a tendency of giddiness is not allowed to do any hazardous work in the construction industry. Section 32 relates to the drinking water facilities. Section 33 explains the washrooms, latrines, urinal facilities need to be provided. Section 34 describes the accommodation facilities. Section 35 creches. Section 36 first aid facilities. Section 37, canteen facilities for the workers. Then section 13, so all these are related to the health, safety and welfare measures of the workers. Section 13 says you should give notice to if the accident, because of accident, any worker is not able to attend the duty for a period of 48 hours. In that case, that incident should be reported to the higher authorities and also to the government authorities. So these are all the various sections. Some more sections are there, but here we will study the briefly. As I told you, some of the activities comes under the Factories Act as well as the Workmen Compensation Act. And before passing of this legislation, BOCW, the construction industry also used to adopt this act. So we will see what is the provisions of the Factories Act 1948. This is an act to, this is also more or less similar to the welfare of the workers related to industries, particularly manufacturing industry. This act to consolidate and amend the laws regulating labor in factories. They came into effect in 1949 as Factories Act 1948 and applies to whole India. The legislation for labor welfare, known as Factories Act 1948, was enacted with the prime objective of protecting workmen employed in factories against industrial and occupational hazards. It imposes upon owners and occupiers certain obligations to protect unwary as well as negligent workers and to secure employment for them, which is conducive and safe. A conducive and safe environment should be provided for the workers to work. To protect human beings from being subjected to unduly long hours of bodily strain and manual labor. So you cannot, the working hours, number of hours and other manual labor conditions are also described. It enforced by the state governments through their factory inspectorates. It also empowers the state governments to frame rules so that local conditions prevailing in the states are appropriately reflected in the enforcement. So the local state governments, district governments, administration, etc. can modify certain rules to suit to the local environment. Let us see some sections. Section 7A gives the general duties of the occupier. Every occupier shall ensure, as far as reasonably practicable, the health, safety and welfare of all workers while they are working in the factory. All these three laws which we are studying, BOCW Act, Factories Act and Workmen Compensation Act, are applicable when the accidents or any injuries or any deaths occur in the workplace. If they work in your leisure time or in the personal activities of the employees, these acts does not apply. Please remember. Section 7B says the duties of manufacturers, etc. as regards articles and substances for use in factories. So Section 11 describes cleanliness. What are the cleanliness to be provided? Section 13 provides the ventilation and temperature conditions in the workplace. Section 14, dust and fumes, how to control those things. Recently, we have seen a gas leakage in the Vizag chemical factory. So such damages and such leakages, etc. shall be taken care of. Section 16 describes overcrowding. How many people should be allowed to work within a given space. Section 34 gives the excessive weights. What is a maximum weight a person can lift? So it limits the bodily strain and injuries due to the lifting of heavy weights. So these are some provisions of the Factories Act which apply to the workers in the factories as well as some type of construction activities which is carried in the industry. in the factories, like erection of the heavy machines, etc. Workmen's Compensation Act 1923. This is an act that provides for the payment of compensation for injury by accident by certain classes of employees to their workmen. So, in this case, any accidents or any injury or death occurs, what is the compensation to be paid to that worker is mainly focused in this Workmen's Compensation Act 1923. The objective is to make provision for the payment of compensation to a workman only, that is to the concerned employee himself in case of his surviving the injury in question, and to his dependents in the case of his death. So it can be provided to the worker if he is surviving, or his family or dependents in case of his death. An additional advantage of this type of legislation is that by increasing the importance of adequate safety devices, it reduces the number of accidents that workmen have in a manner that cannot be achieved by official inspection. So it recommends providing adequate safety devices to reduce the number of accidents. Further, it encourages employers to provide adequate medical treatment for their workmen to mitigate the effect of those accidents which occur very often. If they are occurring very frequently, a mitigation measures also should be taken according to this act. The benefits so conferred on the workmen, added to the increased sense of security which they will enjoy, should render industrial life more attractive, thus increase the available supply of labor. So these provisions are followed. The safety environment and the working environment is conducive to the working of the labor. Industries can get more supply of productive labor into the industry. But at the same time, a corresponding increase in the efficiency of the average workman may be expected. A system of insurance would prevent the burden from pressing too heavily on any particular employer. So it recommends taking the insurance also, so that at the time of accident, the employer need not pay all the money from his pocket. The Act provides for cheaper and quicker disposal of disputes. It relates to workers, and the entire purpose of the statute is to see that the weaker section of the community, namely the working class, is not caught in a tangle of litigation. So special tribunals, special courts, etc. are also established to speedy disposal of the cases. Section 3 of the Employees Compensation Act 1923 provides for the circumstances where an employer is liable to pay compensation in case of death or personal injury suffered by the workman. For an employer to be liable, the following conditions should be fulfilled. So if these conditions fulfilled, then only an employee can claim the compensation, or an employer is liable to pay the compensation. Otherwise, he is not liable. So what are all the conditions? The workman must have sustained personal injury. So it should have occurred personal injury. Personal injury must have been caused by an accident. Accident may have arisen out of and in the course of employment. The personal injury caused to the workman must have resulted either in the total or partial disablement of the workman for a period exceeding 3 days, or it must have resulted in the death of the workman. So it must have occurred during the course of employment, during the operation, during the working on the job. Accident should occur, and you should prevent the worker from disablement, which prevents the worker to take rest more than 3 days, or it must have resulted in the death of the worker. So these are all the provisions satisfies, then only this Workmen Compensation Act, even other Factories Act, BOCW Act, all these things apply if these conditions are in place. So there are some other laws related to various other industries. So in the construction industry, these three laws enforce the employers for the providing safe working conditions. Thereby, more labor workforce is attracted to work in this industry. Otherwise, you will not get the sufficient quantity of productive labor into the industry. Next is safety campaign. Okay, safety legislations mainly look at the angle of the employer. They enforce the employers to take preventive mitigation measures. But what should be that is all another angle is safety campaign. So this is a highly preventive measure. It educates all the stakeholders in the industry, starting from the public, the workers, the employees and the employees. All together, it provides an awareness about the safety so that the accidents and other untoward incidents can be prevented. What is a safety campaign? It is a safety campaign is a structured course of action or series of operations to achieve a specific goal. You must be aware of the campaign in the election. At the election time, you see many contestants, they do election campaign. Means what? It is a series of operations to win the election. Like that, in this case, it is a series of operations to spread awareness about the safety. Campaigning works across a range of media to raise awareness of particular issue and ultimately shape the behavior of the intended target audience. So it spread the awareness and also it tries to influence and mold the opinion and behavior of the targeted audience. That is the purpose of the campaign. Campaigns are useful for reaching relatively large number of people. That's why we call it as election campaign. In the election campaign, if it is a parliament election, so maybe 1 or 2 crores of people or some 30-40 lakhs of people, maybe 20 lakhs of people or maybe 10 lakhs of people, they should canvass. At the national level means all 50-60 people, the parties at the national level, they campaign through their various media resources. So if you are focusing on a small groups, other routes such as training, seminars, one-on-one meetings, emails or even phone calls might be more valuable depending on the subject. Now if you see the COVID-19 pandemic, the government is making a big campaign through the various electronic media, through the print media, through the communication media to reach to the every single individual in the country. Such a large scale operations are called campaigns. Campaigns inevitably demand time and money. So they require a lot of time, efforts and money. Sometimes it might be worth considering trying to involve another organizations with a similar interest to share the cost and workload. So sometimes it is not possible for a single company or organization to organize the campaign. So they can take 2-3 companies, 2-3 organizations or take the help of state government, local government, etc. in arranging the campaigns. That's you see at the international level, in addition to the various countries campaigning for the COVID-19, the World Health Organization, WHO also is doing its part to spread the awareness. Safety campaigns are also a great way of reaching employees both on-site and in the field, as there are a number of different campaign tools that can be adapted. So it can be reached both the on-site and who are people working in the field also can be reached. So what are the objectives for health and safety campaigns? Raise awareness of health and safety problems, including their causes, among managers, employees, and people who advise them on these issues. For example, medical professionals. So all these can be approached. Provide practical solutions through good practice models. Provide practical solutions. Increase workforce knowledge of relevant legislations and encourage organizations to comply with this. So we have seen earlier various legislations. Then how government can pass the legislation, but how it will reach to the common worker or any organization or to the public is through these campaigns. Alert people to new risks and possible solutions. So with the help of new technology, new material, new equipment, new risk will be arising. So the people should be made aware of that. Obtain support for changes to legislation or guidelines. Similarly, a new legislation is to be made. We need the support of all the stakeholders in the industry. So through campaigning, you can mold their opinion and get support for the new legislations or rules or guidelines. Position your organization as an health and safety authority and a valuable partner. So these are all the various key objectives for health and safety campaigns. Then who are all the targeted audience in this? Employers, enterprises, directors, personal managers, supervisors, trainers, employees, safety officers, in-house occupational health services, specific sectors, occupations or types, sizes of businesses, industry and trade associations, trade unions, professional associations, branches within your own organizations, intermediary organizations, labor inspectorates, occupational safety and health professionals, working environment services, suppliers of the equipment, material, services, designers, medical professional health service providers, health educators, authorities, legislative bodies, politicians, members of the public, school children. So these are all the targeted audience or which can be made aware of the various safety, OHS provisions or OHS issues, related issues in the construction industry. So once these all people are made aware, the safety and working environment will drastically improve. Then how to do the campaign? What is the strategy? Generally, these are all the some steps involved which can vary from issue to issue. Establish a measurable objective. So you should start with a measurable objective. For example, reduce accidents in excavation works by 30% over the next 3 years. So main focus, you can see which area of the construction, which activity of the construction is giving more accidents. So first you can focus in that activity and objective can be reduce that accidents every year so much or in 3 years so much, like that. Then focus on specific target audience. So even though so many audience are there, at a time you cannot reach all the audience. So at a time try to reach some specific target audience. Develop a clear message. This should be tailored to your target audience and ideally include recommendations that they can act on. It should be simple, it should be practicable, it should understandable. So you make a practicable recommendations. Identify the most suitable media to reach your target audience. You can use advertisements, you can use mails, you can use posters, you can use seminars or one-to-one visit, whatever it may be, different methods based on the situation and audience you can adopt. Agree a budget. Make a budget and make some 10 to 20% extra also for any unexpected additional cost. Find a good launch date. If you find the season, date and avoid major holiday periods. If there are Dasara or 3-4 holidays, at that time don't launch, because after launching you cannot start the activity. proceed with your activity. So try to link your campaign to a topical event or a season to give it greater resonance. Then after doing all these things, periodically you evaluate your campaign and do the required modifications to make it more efficient. So these are all the various steps in the campaign strategy. So campaigning about safety, health and welfare is a very important step in the mitigation and prevention of the accidents and injuries in the workplace. Next, last topic is insurance in the construction industry. So we have seen the legislations which will mitigate, campaign which will prevent, then insurance. Why insurance? Okay, if you're doing all this, you do campaigning, you do the legislations, you make rules, you make regulations, you make penalties. In spite of all these things, sometimes unknowingly or unexpectedly accidents can occur. So in that case, what is the course of action is every worker should have an insurance. Every contractor should have an insurance. Every employer should have an insurance. Why? What is insurance? Insurance is a means of protection from financial loss. So all these injuries, accidents, deaths finally result in the financial loss to the employee as well as employer. Both will be affected. So to get protection from that financial loss, insurance will help. It is an arrangement by which a company or the state undertakes to provide a guarantee of compensation for specified loss, damage, illness or death in return for payment of a specified premium. So the company or even state governments also provide this, take this insurance, means they pay every year certain premium. Even individual people also, they take their life insurance, health insurance. What is that? Every year they pay some specified premium, and when the accidents or when the damage, loss occurs, they will get the lump sum amount required to mitigate that financial loss. Importance of insurance in the construction. So everybody have their own personal insurance, life insurance, have health insurance, etc. So what is then insurance in the construction industry is required? Why it is required? There are all sorts of risks associated with construction project. Construction project is a risky operations. Why? Because there are risks from natural disasters like fire, windstorms to vandalism, arson by the public, theft, etc. So anything can happen. There can be cyclones, there can be earthquakes, there can be strikes, there can be arsons, there can be pandemics. All these things will stop the work and also can injury or health loss to the workers. Construction involves a huge investment of money and manpower, and also it employs a heavy equipment, hazardous materials, tools, and working at great heights. So all these are risky operations. A slight negligence may prove to be too dangerous and costly. As such, getting construction insurance is very important. It covers the expenses that may occur due to personal injuries or property damage at the construction area. So mainly it provides the expenses that may occur because of this damage or injuries. The insurance will provide the cover from these things. Umbrella, it is like an umbrella. Construction insurance covers the company owner, it covers the workers, it covers the subcontractors, it covers the tenants, it covers the business partners and sole proprietors. So all these people can take insurance, and they all can be protected from the financial loss because of any unforeseen incident or accident. In case of poor construction, the buyer of the constructed property can sue the construction company. When this happens, you also need to pay for fixing or remodeling the building. So if the supervision is not proper, the quality of the construction is not up to standard, the buyer he can or the owner can sue the construction company for damages. In that case, so again you have to, the company should invest money, time, effort to redesign, remodel, rectify the mistakes, etc. So all these things also can be covered in the insurance. Construction insurance protects construction companies from such claims by giving them financial assistance. So A to Z in the construction operations can be covered with the insurance. What are all the risks involved in the construction industry? There can be an environment risk due to natural disasters, weather and seasonal implications, pollution by construction work. These things can stop or damage the work. Technical risk, uncertainty of resource and availability of materials, inadequate site investigation, incomplete design. Technical, uncertainty of the resource, availability of materials, inadequate site investigations, incomplete designs can lead to the quality of the work and damage to the work, injuries, etc. Financial risk, delay from clients, increment for staff benefits, unprecedented price in raw materials, fluctuations in estimated finance than expected. So delay also can cause financial loss if the project is delayed. If you give the increment salary hikes to the employers, then cost will increase. Unprecedented price in raw materials may fluctuate, it may increase, then the risk will increase. Fluctuations in estimated finance than expected. If you are importing some material, the fluctuation in the rupee value against the dollar can increase the cost. So all these things can be also covered in the insurance. Construction risk, dispute between laborers, labor unions, laborers, between fighting in between them, all this can delay and stop the work. Damage to persons and property because of various other arsons, looties, strikes and all these things. Changing sequences in construction activity. Initially planned some sequence, but because of some rules and regulations, the sequence is changed, it can delay the construction work. Non-availability of resources. So sometimes the material, equipment and manpower may not be available to execute the work, it can cause financial loss. Change in quantities of work. Because of some change in the alignment or because of some redesigning, all those things can increase the quantities of work. Safety of workers. So all these things also can impose financial burden on the contractor. So all these risks can be addressed or can be covered by taking a insurance in the construction. So what are all the various insurance? There are so many types of insurance are there, and the most prominent is contractors all risk policy. It is also called as CAR, CAR. CAR policy is a comprehensive insurance solution designed to cover a broad spectrum of risk to which a civil construction project is exposed from arrival of construction materials at site till the completion of the project. So from the arrival of the material till the completion of the project, all the operations involved can be covered in this CAR policy. The policy is especially designed keeping in mind contractors, consulting engineers, architects and financiers and insurers against unforeseen accidents. So it covers all the people: contractors, owners, consulting engineers, architects, and financiers who provide finance like banks or in non-banking financial institutions, etc., and insurers against unforeseen accidents. Contractors all insurance provides coverage for the property damage and also third party injuries. Property damage may occur due to the improper construction of the structures. Damages during renovation and erections can cause the damage, so that can be also covered in this car policy. Third party includes the subcontractors working on the construction site may also become injured. So for certain operations, some labor subcontract will be given, some additional labor will be working in certain days on a temporary basis. So those can third parties also, or any visitors to the site, in that site, or if you are doing a major road works or bridge works or flyover works, so who are passing through that roads, etc., all these people also can be covered. And what type of structures, what type of construction works can be covered? All type. It can be residential, it can be commercial, it can be institutional. Any type of construction work all covered. Then what are the various covers? There are some basic covers and some add-on covers. Basic covers contains basic premium. If you pay, basic covers can be availed. You want additional issues to be covered, then you have to take add-on policy. So what are the basic covers? Due to fire, explosion, impact damage, collapse, storm, tempest, flood inundation, subsidence, landslide, riot, strike, malicious damage, burglary, theft, electrical, mechanical breakdown, and some more are there. I am not mentioned here, but there are some more basic covers are available. Add-on covers: owner's surrounding property. If because of your work in your site, because of your foundation, or because of doing a superstructure construction, or because of operation of equipment, if the surrounding structures are damaged, these also need to be covered, then you have to take the add-on covers. Removal of debris, earthquake, terrorism, construction equipment like scaffolding, shuttering materials, breakage of glass, these things which are not generally occur, if they are to be covered, add-on covers to be taken. But entire thing is not covered. There are always some exclusions are there in any policy. So in the car policy also there are some exclusions. Cessation of work, whether total or partial, means work is completely stopped forever. Okay, that is called cessation of work. Then defective material and our workmanship, wear and tear, inventory losses, faulty design, war and related perils, nuclear reaction, and some more items, these are all excluded. So car policy is a must for generally bidding for any major works. So the owner will look at whether the bidding construction company is having car policy or not. The government organizations or any major organizations which are sanctioning the projects look at the car policy of the contractor. Then other policies are workers' compensation, in other insurance policies in addition to car policy. So specific insurance also are there. Workers' compensation insurance. All the states have enacted workers' compensation laws to give statutory protection to employees injured on the job. Workers' compensation insurance provides medical care and other benefits for the contractor's employees in the event that they are injured on the job. So a contractor takes workers' compensation insurance, then the insurance company will provide in case of any accidents. The contractor need not pay. Contractor plant and machinery policy. So it covers all the plant and machinery used in the construction project the loss or damage to the contractor's construction mobile equipment such as bulldozers, cranes, excavators, compressors, etc. due to an accident arising out of external perils. Public liability. Public liability is a legal ability to pay compensation to third parties arising in connection with the business activities of the insured. So, public liability insurance can be taken. Product liability. Product liability is the legal ability to pay compensation to third parties arising in connection with the insured products. Then, professional indemnity. Professional indemnity policy. Professional indemnity policy. Professional indemnity policy covers the design claims in case the construction manager acted negligently. If the manager acts negligently, then the professional indemnity policy will provide the coverage. These type of insurance coverage are adopted by the construction companies for financial protection. Then standard fire and special perils insurance. Insurance against some natural disasters, fire, etc. Fire and special perils policy is an insurance contract that safeguards movable and immovable properties against unforeseen perils caused by the accidental fire, lightning, explosion, implosion, destruction or damage caused by aerial devices, man-made and natural perils. These are all some more perils also covered under this policy. Burglary insurance. Burglary insurance is the policy against loss or damage to the property and financial losses resulting from unlawful. So any theft, robbery, burglary happens for the material, for the equipment, etc., for the designs, all those things, for the documents. So it can be covered under this insurance. Marine insurance. Marine cargo insurance covers the loss or damages to goods in transit by rail, by sea, by road, by air or post. Marine insurance compensates the owners for losses. So some of the equipment, material are imported from other countries through marine cargo. So this policy, marine insurance policy, covers any loss occurring during the transport by rail, sea, not only through the sea, it covers through the rail, road, air or other, even due to the post or courier services. So these are all the various insurance policies. In some more few are there available for the construction industry to safeguard the financial losses to the all the stakeholders. So with this we will conclude this lecture. So we have covered the acts, legislations related to the safety, welfare and working environment and other service conditions. Then we have learned about the safety campaign, and finally we have completed the safety insurance. Thank you.